The costs of cancer drugs have been dramatically on the rise. It's an issue not widely discussed due to its sensitive nature. People are very hesitant to talk about a subject when it's regarding a dying person. But I believe in the case of terminal cancer patients, the prices of these medications need to be discussed. The high cost of these medications could harm society by increasing the cost of accessing healthcare while lowering the services provided by the healthcare. I believe a government board should be established to help rein in these costs and help lower them. A study by New England Journal of Medicine showed that 81% of patients with terminal advanced colorectal cancer believed that the drugs they were taking could cure them. However, that's incorrect. And this lack of knowledge, this misinformation, creates a hurdle in discussing the issue of the cancer drug prices. People need to recognize that in many cases, these drugs are not a cure, but just prolonging the inevitable death of the cancer patient. All the while, these patients are taking these drugs, they're enriching the drug companies while raising the cost of healthcare and lowering the services. The cost of these medications isn't well known to Americans. In 1965, vinblastine, a drug used to treat melanoma, cost about $78 a month. Flash forward to 2011, a drug, Yervoy, costs $38,000 a month. And it requires a 3-month treatment. This would add up to a cost of over $100,000. And this cost the insurance companies must pay. And the patients are responsible for the co-pays, and many times the co-pays can be so outrageous that it puts families and the patient in debt, and in some cases even bankruptcy. Zaltrap, medication used to treat colon cancer, costs about $11,000 a month. And that $11,000 a month doesn't even include the associated and ancillary costs of paying the doctors, paying the nurses, paying for testing to monitor the cancer treatment's results. And this drug, Zaltrap, only has a median survival rate of 42 days, meaning the average person will only live 42 days longer while taking this medication than not taking it. Where 100 days is near the end of the survival spectrum, the longest somebody has ever lived taking this medication. These high costs and the rise of these costs has many factors. One factor is doctors are marketed these drugs by the drug companies. And many times they end up prescribing them, even though some of these are even more expensive than ones that have been out on the market, without showing any clinical advantage over the current ones that are cheaper. Also, Medicare pays the cost that the drug companies set. They have no ability to negotiate the prices set by these companies. Another factor of the high costs are patents. The drug company comes out with a drug and they patent it. This patent allows them to set whatever price they like to set. And you know what? It's going to be a high price. It's going to be a high price because they have no obligation to society to make the drug affordable. Their obligation are to the shareholders to make them money and to make a big profit. These high prices also are no indication of their effectiveness. 5-fluorouracil, better known as 5-FU, is one of the most popular cancer drugs used to treat colorectal cancer. And it was made in 1957. And it costs currently about $30 a treatment. It is comparable to many drugs that are out on the market. And I think that's a problem. If a drug made in 1957 is comparable to drugs currently manufactured now, it tells me drugs have not improved much with science since 1957. And I think the drugs should have improved, but they cannot be proven to be better on a consistent basis. And one reason I believe that they haven't improved much is there's no incentive for the drug companies to be innovative and take risks. If a company can charge $11,000 a month for Zaltrap, when 5-FU made in 1957 is $30 a month, and they're comparable to one another, why would a company take risks and think outside the box to come up with something new and innovative? IMS, the Institute for Health Informatics, has a statistic that shows how well the drug companies are doing. Drug sales reached $26 billion in the U.S. in 2012. And worldwide, in 2016, it's estimated that they'll reach $85 billion. So the drug companies are doing fine without being innovative. But I think there needs to be incentive for them to be innovative. If not, marginally effective drugs will continue to be brought out on the market that have many times no intention of saving a cancer patient's life. And all the while, it's going to just continue to drain money from Americans, the government, and the dying cancer patient. England came up with an idea and adopted a committee known as the National Institute for Health and Clinical Excellence, otherwise known as NICE. And this committee considers costs and benefits of drugs and treatments in healthcare. It resulted in lower prices of cancer drugs. If the committee has an ability to turn down a cancer drug that wants to be released on the market, if it's shown to be not as effective or just as effective as drugs currently out that are cheaper. And you know what? This many times had drug companies go back, lower the price, and then go back to the committee and try to reapply to get out on the market. And sometimes they let it out on the market, but it just goes to show that the drug company will lower the price if it has to, because it wants to get out on the market and make some money. Sometimes it's just not as much as they want. And the results of this committee show objective benefits. An example is Tasigna, a drug used to treat a form of leukemia. In England, costs about $33,500 a year. That sounds expensive, and it is expensive until you see how much it costs in the U.S. An American will pay $115,000 a year for that same medication. I think it's unacceptable to have this sharp of contrast in medications. And the rising costs will eventually catch up with us as a society. I think as a society we need to act. Most policies are reactive. I believe we need to take a proactive approach to this. But like I said earlier, I know it's a very hard subject to be vocal about because it's an emotional subject. Many people know someone that has cancer or who had died of cancer, whether it be a family member, friend, or loved one. But I believe the prices need to be controlled before it's too late, before healthcare costs go up, where parents can't afford healthcare for their children. The Medicare contributions go down, and elderly are suffering. That's why I advocate a board similar to the one established in England, similar to NICE, to help lower these costs. And it can do so by capping the cost that drug companies are allowed to charge for medications. Also, by making the drug prices in correlation with their effectiveness, meaning if a drug company comes out with a drug like Zaltrap that's $11,000 a month, when it's just as effective as 5-FU, it's just $30 a treatment, they should not be allowed to charge more for it. And I think this will have another effect by giving that needed incentive for the drug companies to think outside the box, be innovative, and come up with maybe a drug that can actually cure the cancer. Also, I think the board should oversee doctors prescribing drugs. Make sure that they're prescribing a drug that's cheaper rather than one that's more expensive that doesn't show any more clinical benefit than the cheaper one. Terminal cancer patients are desperate. They're desperate for better drugs, desperate for a cure. They need something better than these drugs that are overpriced and underperforming. But they will get no better unless we as a society demand it. Thank you.